Hey everyone, today I want to go over how to factor a quadratic trinomial. So first let's talk about what exactly a quadratic trinomial is. It's basically a trinomial that is written in this form, ax²+bx+c. So you can see this is a trinomial because it has three terms, 1, 2, 3. And it is quadratic because it has a degree of 2. So the highest exponent in this trinomial is 2. So today I'll be showing you how to factor one of these. And keep in mind, the way I'm going to show you how to factor it only works when a equals 1. So the leading coefficient right here has to be 1. If there's any other number in front of it, then we'll have to use a different method. But this method I'll show you only works if a is 1. So let's talk about how to factor this. Basically, we want to find two numbers. So let's set up two sets of parentheses, and they're both going to have an x plus, and the two numbers are going to be m and n. And we want to find two numbers where m times n equals c. So this c up here. And m plus n equals b. So this b up here. So let's go through an example together. Let's scroll down. And let's say we had this trinomial right here. Let's say we had x² plus 7x plus 12. So in order to factor this, first we'll set up our parentheses. And it's important to understand that the a term in this case is 1. There's no number in front of it. That's just a 1 times x². So a is 1 in this case. So this method will work. So a is 1. We'll set up two sets of parentheses, and they will both have an x plus. X plus. And we want to find two numbers, m and n. So m and n, where if we do m times n, we will get c, which in this case is 12. We will get 12. And we also want to find the same m and n, so m plus n has to equal the b term, which is 7. So this 7 right here, positive 7. So we have to find these two numbers, where if you multiply them, they'll give you 12, and if you add them, they'll give you 7. So how do we go about doing this? So what we can do is, let's write out the c term, 12. And let's just write out some of its factors. So how can we, what are the factors of 12 that we can write out? So 12 could be 6 times 2. It could also be 4 times 3. Okay, so we have two potential m and n numbers. We have 6 and 2. We have 4 and 3. Let's actually try to add them. So over here, what is 6 plus 2? Well, 6 plus 2 is 8, but that's not the number we're looking for. We are looking for, when we add them together, for it to be 7. So 6 and 2 don't work. So 6 and 2 won't work. Now, what about this 4 times 3? Well, let's try adding them. 4 plus 3. 4 plus 3 is 7, which is what we're looking for, 7. So we can use 4 and 3 as m and n. Perfect. So we can write, just to continue off of this, let's scroll down. So x plus, x plus, and m and n, we can use 4 and 3. So x plus 4 times x plus 3. And that is how we factor the original trinomial that we started with. X plus 4 times x plus 3. And you can use FOIL on this, and once you do and you simplify like terms, then you'll get back to the same polynomial that we started with. But this is how we factor it. And again, keep in mind, a must equal 1. So let's go through one more example together. Let's say we had x squared minus 5x plus 6. Okay, so let's write it out. X plus, and we want to find two numbers that multiply to 6 and add to -5. So we want to find two numbers. So again, m plus n. So m plus n and m times n. So m times n will give us 6. And m plus n, so let me just make that a different color. So m times n will give us 6. And m plus n will give us -5. We want to find these two m and n so that we can put them inside these two parentheses right here, m and n. Okay, so let's start with the c. And the c term over here is 6. Let's go ahead and start with that. And let's look for factors. What can 6 be written as? So 6, let me write it over here, can be written as 6 times 1. Or it could also be written as 3 times 2. 6 times 1 or 3 times 2. So 6 can equal 6 times 1, and 6 can equal 3 times 2. And let's try them both out. So let's try this first one right here. What is 6 plus 1? That's 7. And that's not what we're looking for. Remember, we're looking for the b term, -5. So 6 and 1 don't work. Okay, let's cross that out. Let's try 3 and 2. 3 plus 2 equals 5. Let me just rewrite that. 3 plus 2 equals 5. And again, that's not quite what we're looking for. We're looking for a -5. So 3 and 2 don't work either. So, okay, both factors don't work. So how do we find the solution? Well, there's another factor right here. 6 can also be -3 times -2. Because remember, a negative times a negative is a positive number. So 6 is not only just 3 times 2, it can also be -3 times -2. And that'll also give you 6. So let's try adding -3 and -2. So -3 plus -2. And a plus and negative is essentially the same as subtracting. So -3 minus 2. -3 minus 2 is -5, which is just what we're looking for. -5 is our b term. So -3 and -2 will be our m and n. So our m is -3, and our n is -2. And these can be interchanged. We could choose n to be -3 and m to be -2. You could switch them. It doesn't matter, as long as they're both in there. So -3 and -2, and then x plus -3. So whenever we're adding a negative number, we're essentially just subtracting. So you don't have to write the plus in there and there. So essentially this is just x minus 3. Let me write it. Let me just erase these. This is essentially x minus 3 times x minus 2. Perfect. And that is how we factor that trinomial. So I hope this video helps, and please let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below. Thank you for watching.